Welcome to Breakfast with Dr. J. So I hope you had a great week, and I wonder what you got up to. Gee, hasn't things changed in the last 3 weeks? Lots of states open, some states closed. So welcome to Breakfast with Dr. J. As we normally do, we had to have a cup of coffee. Hope you're joining me. Cheers. Yum, yum. Always good to start the day with a cuppa. So it is Breakfast with Dr. J, so I hope you're having a relax and got your trusty pen out, because it's not going to be too long, but it's going to be succinct this morning. So when you do pop on, say hello, say where you're from. I've got people from all around the world in the Sales Success Club and also in the Sales Authority Club too now. So when you do pop on, say hello, because I do want to cover something that could be a whole day's presentation. And over the last, well, I would say 6 months in particular, but over the last really 12 months as a creeping up on us, our cycle of making a sale has changed. And more so than any time before in the last, say, 12 to 16 weeks with the crisis and pandemic of COVID. So I do want to cover some things with you this morning and give you some ideas on where you need to shift. 24/7, we work with sales and communication models. That's what we do. And our job is to make sure that we set the processes which will future-proof your business so you maximize your potential. So what I would love to do is to give you some of the ideas that we actually have already put into practice with some of our clients and also with our Sales Success and Sales Authority Club members. So when you do pop on, say hi, and I'll go through and I'm going to give you some golden nuggets to be able to take away. The first thing is, number one, and please write this down, the circumstances have changed. Now, the need is still there, but the circumstances of the individual and the sales professional have changed. There are a number of things that have changed. There might be less leads. Or in some cases, when we're reopening, we'll get an avalanche of leads. Now, either way, one thing that hasn't changed is conversion is the key. Have you upgraded your conversion model? Now, remember, a conversion isn't just a closing of the sale. A conversion is to what's next. From an inquiry, do we need to get in contact with that person? Yep, and that's what's next. And then what's next is to book that person in to come to see you or to present an opportunity and maybe a sale. That could be what's next. But if we're getting a lot more opportunity, are we taking advantage of that opportunity? This is where circumstances have changed. The other thing is, over the last 12 weeks, we've had a thing called social distancing, which has meant that people haven't been able to get belly to belly. But we can get eyeball to eyeball, but it's not the same. We don't have the energy. So those circumstances have changed. However, it takes a period of time to create a habit. And guess what? Over this period of 12 to 16 weeks, we've been forced to isolate. We've been forced to go online. We have had to make do with what we had. And guess what? Your consumer has changed. The consumer's expectations have changed. They've been taught how to actually get a delivery online. They've been taught to not have as much social interaction, even though we crave it. So given that those things have changed, the new vogue and the new thing that's critical is safety. Now, sure, we're going to go back to our face-to-face presentations, and many of us will not go and do all your presentations online. I get it. But we will go back to what we have always done because that becomes part of our pattern. This is a bit of a challenge because if the consumer is expecting things to be different and you go back to what were always doing, there's going to be a disconnect. There's going to be, oh, they're too close, or gee whiz, where's the perspex screens? Or, people love to complain. But then there's that feeling of safety. Remember, we sell a feeling. We don't sell a product or service. So have you actually done the things that are necessary to make sure that your prospects are feeling safe? Now, remember, a lot of people went online and started to present online. Remember, in some of the cases, we taught you how to do a thing called the phone switch. Yeah. Instead of getting on the phone and come and meeting me, getting on the phone and let's switch you onto an online presentation, shorten the sales cycle dramatically. We had people increasing their sales because the person was still emotionally engaged. We had to change the scripts and prompts, obviously, but guess what? Those changes have made a massive difference because the consumer required them. The consumer, the person didn't want to come down. They didn't want you to come in, but they still wanted the product or service. See, they still have the need, but it's the delivery and what you're saying that needs to change. So have you changed these things? With the changes of the circumstances, the people are wanting things faster. Haven't you noticed? Because people have had this thing where they can get things online and have a Zoom or whatever the case may be, people are now saying, I want it faster. I now don't have to wait. I don't have to get in the car. I don't have to drive there, or I don't have to wait for them to come to me. So now they've been taught over the last 12 to 16 weeks to do that. That's going to be their expectation. Now, in this short period of time, I'm going back to whatever we call is normal, and it's always going to change now. There's always going to be social distancing until there becomes, a cure. The question I'll ask you, have you made the adjustments? Have you really looked at what you need to do to make your consumer, your prospect, the people feel safe? And in your sales process, have you adjusted some of your scripts and prompts? It's absolutely critical, guys, but we actually do that right now. We have to make sure that we have the ability to, it was a very click word of pivoting. I call it adjustments, to make sure that your sales cycle has adjusted for what your consumer is requiring. That safety, that speed, going online quickly, or when they come in to see you, you've got the tools to make sure that you can still present, but it's in the new way. I'm going to give you some ideas for that. The thing I suggested earlier was talking about that phone switch. The phone switch was a process we put in around about, 18 weeks ago, because we saw that this COVID thing was taking place, and we knew that we would have to get people to present and demonstrate online. So the phone switch was a modification to the prompt to make sure that we got permission to again get them online quickly. That's one thing. The next thing is, with your needs analysis, we found there's a new way of doing the needs analysis when you're online. That process is called permissioning. By utilizing that model, that works. But also, have you actually considered creating a Google document that the person would actually complete prior to seeing you or when they arrive, which goes straight into your computer? Your needs analysis, the conversation is still similar. However, because if they're sitting next to you, you can't actually get into the rapport zones and the intimate zones for a while, there are new ways of building rapport, using the process of 9, getting that commonality. Now, have you sorted out how getting your needs analysis completed? If it gets done, you've still got to have a conversation. Now, remember that social distancing is important. So do you have the tools to be able to present to your people where they feel safe? Now, there are ways to do that. However, in your explanation, your demonstration, and your tour, there are new ways to actually create an experience which creates a feeling. Your conversations are the same. However, there are new ways to do your explanation and demonstration. Sometimes you don't have to physically do it, but if you can, it's better. Have you created, not just, I'll just get it done, but have you really thought about what is the experience? If you have, terrific. But if you haven't, write it down. Now, the last couple of things I wanted to explain to you is, when it comes down to these adjustments that you needed to make, which will shorten the sales cycle, remember, the new tour, explanation, demonstration is a process called proofing. As long as you can prove what you said is true, You're good. That means that you'll shorten the sales cycle. We've got a model that's called Phoebe that actually helps you do that. It's been terrific, and we've had so many people in our Sales Authority Club had record weeks and months. This has been a terrific month, just shortening that sales cycle. But the expectation of the consumer has to be met. If we do the same old, and expect to get the same result, if you're a gun, think again. You have to make the adjustments. A couple of other things I want to throw out to you. In your price presentation, some people write their price presentation, some give us an auditory modality. Remember, you need to make sure that you get at least 2 different senses. So in 2 different senses on your price presentation, are you writing it or are you showing it? Are you saying it? Now, there are new ways to do this. You can still continue to write it, but that's going to be pretty tough with social distancing. What you will need to do is actually have larger screens. If you've got a computer, get a bigger screen, or you can get a very inexpensive old computer screen and let people see it on the screen, and use a thing called a tariff close. That's if they're belly to belly. So have a bigger screen and make sure that you have a tariff close. We've created some really easy tariffs to use, and they're all sequenced. So make sure you have a sequence and you use a big screen so the person can see it. Alternatively, if you want to do your presentation online, there's a thing called the chat box close. The chat box close allows you to then flip into a presentation. The person gets really excited. You do your proofing, which is easy peasy, and then you just do your chest closing, and then you go into your presentation, and then there's a link. But the good thing about a chat box close is that you can talk the person through pushing the buttons, because they can then share their screen. See, not a lot has changed, but lots of little things have. So I wanted to give you some ideas to be able to do that. And at the end of the day, it's what you do now. Now, we're starting to go back into a little bit of, let's say, presentation in Australia and New Zealand. We're pretty lucky, aren't we? We're in an island, on islands. The rest of the world are having, how can we say, resurgences of the problem. So our borders will stay closed for a while. But guess what? Our consumers are craving to have your products or services. So make sure you update and streamline your sales process. Now, every business is slightly different. I understand that. But we have a lot of businesses that are in the health and fitness industry we work with all around the world. We have real estate agents, we have dentists, we have property developers, financial planners. If you have to understand the process, the tools just need to be modified, and click, it goes in. Trust the process, get the outcome. But there are some small adjustments that need to be made. And guys, I'm just bringing it to your attention today because as we go through the next 2 or 3 months, it is absolutely critical that we do the very best with the limited leads or the abundance amount of leads we get. We need to help as many people and make sure your business and you will get the outcome you're looking for, and so does your consumer. They come to you, they're wanting help, aren't they? So we've got to do a great job. But remember, we have to meet their expectations. If we don't meet their expectations, they're going to go somewhere else. There's not much in business more sales won't fix. And when it comes down to having an abundance of leads or a small amount of leads, we still need to have our conversions. Conversions from that lead to contact to booked, and book to presentation to show, and then show to sale. But if you're doing the same old and not meeting the expectation of the consumer, or you're a bit rusty because you haven't actually done any sales for a while, we're going to lose the opportunity. Guys, rev it up. Let's really ramp up the next few months, make some changes. I'll just recap them. Understand your circumstances have changed, number 1. So you need to adjust. You have to, number 2, the consumer has adjusted their expectations. You need to make sure that you match that. Number 3, if you have the ability to go and use the technology terrific. But if not, you're going to have to modify your phone modalities, how you do your needs analysis, your explanation, demonstration, or tour, and also your price presentations so they can see them, and how they actually pay. So, number 4 is your face-to-face presentation. Adjust your qualification models. Make sure that everything is pre-done. Number 5, your delivery modality. Make sure that you're working in proximity, having the new tools, the screens. And number 6, making sure you're creating an experience which meets their expectation. And know how to do number 7, which is closing. There's a bit of a checklist there for you. I wanted you to say, yep, I've got it all done, Doc. Ready to rock and roll. Then you want to do your PDR, your practice, drill, rehearse, and then we're good to go. I really hope that the rest of June is outstanding for you. Now, if you'd like some help with this, I'll put a little link in there. And we'll have a quick chat just for a little bit of a call. And then we can maybe go through a sales growth plan with you. And give you a couple of strategies that might fit in with what you've got. It'll be my pleasure. I'll put the link underneath. So please put some comments for those that watch the replay. Always like to see the comments. So I'm going to have a sip of my cup of tea. If we've got any questions, I'll wait for them. Love a cuppa in the morning, especially on Saturday morning. So it doesn't look there's any questions there today. All good. So gang, if you need a bit of help, just click the link there. We'll have a quick phone call, and then if need be, we'll do a sales growth plan for you. Put a 90-day strategy into place. Be my pleasure. Let's kick some goals. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Oh, next week I'm going to change the time. Oh yes, too early. I'm going to make it 8:30. So tell your friends, share it around. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.